This quick video will cover the Greek creation story of mortals and the universal flood. We start our discussion with Prometheus. Prometheus is largely attributed to the creation of mortals. He created them using earth and water, similar to the biblical story of God creating Adam. He was a Titan, which means that he had similar lineage to Zeus, but he did side with the gods during the great battle between the gods and the Titans. Zeus saw him as a rival, though. He was very suspicious of anything that Prometheus did. One of the reasons why is because of Prometheus's lineage. He was an equal of Zeus, and since he had great power, obviously being able to create mortals, Zeus was very suspicious of anything Prometheus did and anything Prometheus created. Prometheus also taught humans many high skills of learning, weaving, great thought. A lot of our theories came from Prometheus, so we see that Zeus would be very uncomfortable with Prometheus giving humans such great knowledge. Prometheus is punished twice by Zeus. First, he decides to serve Zeus bones instead of meat, and he thinks this is rather funny, but Zeus does not. And so then Zeus takes fire away from mortals as a result. And so instead of punishing Prometheus himself, he's punishing Prometheus's creation. As a result, Prometheus then steals fire from Olympus and gives it back to humans. So humans now are able to create their own fire and no longer have to rely on Zeus, who was creating the lightning that would strike a tree and then create fire for man. So man basically had to wait for lightning to come along in order to have fire. Now they have it permanently. And this is because of Prometheus. So the second time he is punished, he's essentially being crucified. He's tied to either a post or a rock, depending on the version, and every day a bird comes and eats his liver, and then his liver grows back because he's immortal. So this is similar to the type of crucifixion that Jesus went through, and so we see a lot of similarities between Prometheus' story and Jesus' story. Pandora then comes into the picture. So man is also punished for Prometheus's second offense, that is stealing the fire, by given woman. So the gods decide they're going to punish mortals. They punish Prometheus. Now they're going to punish the mortals by giving them a woman. So up to this point, there were only men on the earth. Women, or the woman, is given appealing attributes, but, and this is a quote from the textbook, she's given the soul of a bitch. So you can see how the Greeks viewed women as and basically the root cause of all of our evil. So she is given to Prometheus's brother Epimetheus, and Epimetheus, of course, falls right in love with her because she is so beautiful. She has all of these very womanly, appealing attributes, but she is just not a nice person inside. Epimetheus was told by his brother not to accept any gifts from the gods, Prometheus naturally being suspicious of anything that Zeus might give out to people, especially his brother. However, Pandora was not told to open the famous jar. So really the reason why all of these bad things have come into place is because Epimetheus accepted Pandora as a gift, not just because she opened the jar. So the story goes that she does open the jar and releases all of the pestilence and suffering and death onto the world. And again, just like the story in the Bible, woman is responsible for man's suffering, essentially. These, of course, show us the roots of misogyny that go back a very, very long time. Of course, we don't think this way anymore, but at the time, this was a story to justify how the Greeks would treat their women. An alternative origin story for man, which also equally explains how we went from such a blessed past to a wretched present. It's not just one person's fault in this case. It's because we have 5 races. So we start with the gold race that was youthful and unaging. They just sort of vanished into the mist kind of thing. They were replaced by the silver race, who were duller and more violent. They tended to fight each other, and Zeus became very mad at them because they did not sacrifice properly, and the gods ended up burying the silver race. The next race that replaced them was the bronze race. They were very warlike and strong, and they ended up largely killing each other off, which led us to the race of heroes, and these would be our half-god men who would fight, and then eventually they were just simply removed from this world. They were just too good, I guess, and taken away from the world, which left us with the Iron Race. This would be our current race. They were evil, cynical, cheating, and envious, and so that's kind of their explanation for how we can go from such good and wonderful people to such evil and cruel people. Again, we have a wretched present. This leads us to the flood myth. There is a universal flood myth in most cultures. In the Greek tradition, the flood myth happens because of Zeus. So what happens is Lycaon, the king of Arcadia, is practicing human sacrifice and cannibalism. Zeus comes to Arcadia in disguise and finds out that this is going on, and of course he is very upset. Zeus is very much against cannibalism, largely because his own father ate his siblings. So cannibalism is not looked highly upon by Zeus or the other gods. So Zeus ends up turning Lycaon into a wolf, as well as his followers. They're wolves or werewolves. That's kind of where we get the tradition from. Then Zeus causes a flood because he's decided that all men are corrupt and need to be cleansed from the earth. So he causes a great flood and wipes out all of humanity except for 2 people. Prometheus' son Deucalion and Pandora's daughter Pyrrha, who are married to each other, so technically they're cousins, married to each other. They do survive, and they survive on a raft, and they're carried to a mountain, much like Noah in the Christian tradition. They're carried to a great mountain on a raft. They do not have any animals with them, though. The goddess Themis then, once they reach the mountain and the flood waters recede, the goddess Themis tells them to throw the bones of their mother behind them, and of course this upsets Pyrrha, because she doesn't understand what it means. She doesn't literally need to dig up her mother and throw her behind him. Behind her, she instead needs to throw rocks behind her. And so Pyrrha then creates a race of women with the rocks that she throws behind her, and Deucalion then creates the men by doing the same thing. So we have a regeneration of humanity after the Great Flood. So that is our discussion of the origin of mortals and the universal flood in a nutshell. There's obviously a lot more details in the chapter if you want to take a look at chapter 5, but that gives you a nice overview of it.